Audio test for Shaw. Shaw, audio test.
Good evening, everyone. We'll start the meeting right now at 6:05. I'd like to humbly acknowledge the land which live, learn, work, and play is Treaty 8 territory, traditional land of Cree and Dene, and unceded territory of the Métis people. And for the record, we have Councillor Ball and Councillor Walkwin joining us online. And Councillor, if you have your cameras on for voting purposes, we appreciate it. Thank you. If anyone in attendance wishes to address council on any of the agenda items this evening, please to my right with legislative services. And remind you, I'll have 5 minutes to speak. As well, remain seated for questions afterwards, and please remain on topic. And just for note, item 10.3, Councillor Dogar has withdrawn that motion. We won't be addressing that this evening. And for the adopt agenda, does anyone wish to serve a notice of motion? Councillor Banjoko.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I, Councillor Funke Banjoko, serve notice of my intent to bring forward the following motion for Council's consideration at the January 14, 2025 Council meeting. Whereas Christian Heritage Month is a time to celebrate and honor the history and traditions of Christianity, and whereas Christian Heritage Month provides an opportunity for all residents of all backgrounds to appreciate and celebrate the impact of Christianity on our shared history. And whereas the month of December is associated with the tradition of gift giving and gathering of family, friends, and people of all faiths. And whereas it is essential to honor and celebrate the diverse expressions of faith that continue to enrich our communities. Now, therefore, Council recognizes the month of December as Christian Heritage Month in the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Joko. Councilor Boussier.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Bowman. Serve notice. I, Councilor Lance Poussiere, serve notice of my intent to bring forward following motion for Council's consideration at the January 14th, 2025 Council meeting. Excuse me. That administration be directed to undertake comparative analysis of Chief Administrative Officer bylaws of comparable municipalities in Alberta, and that the comparative analysis focus on benchmarking of best practices and include, but not limited to, data and authority, accountability, and responsibility of Chief Administrative Officer, and that a report be provided to Council with the findings of the comparative analysis within 60 days of this motion being passed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Boussier. Councilor McGrath.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That the Council Municipality of Wood Buffalo serve a notice of motion. That the Council of the Municipality of Wood Buffalo give first reading to a direct control bylaw regarding the property legally described as Lot 1, Block 1, Plan 232-144, better known as 7880 Draper Road. This bylaw proposes to amend the land use bylaw number 99059 to designate the subject property as direct control district. And that be debated on, I guess, January 14th, 2025.
Thank you, Councilor McGrath. Can someone make the motion to adopt the agenda as presented? Councilor Grandison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the agenda, whoops, sorry, I'm on the wrong spot, Mr. Mayor.
5.
What's that? Is this with the movement of 9.4, Mr. Mayor? Am I on the correct one?
Page 5, item 5.
Page 5, item 5 with the agenda. It says, I move that the agenda be amended by removing item 9.5, elected officials compensation, travel, and expense policy, FIN 050, and that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Thank you.
My apologies, Mr. Mayor.
That motion? Councilor.
I would like to defer, actually, I would like to defer a matter on the agenda this evening.
Okay, go ahead, Councilor McGrath.
I'd like to defer the 10.5 master agreement.
Okay.
Till Council has I think about a week ago, I requested the price tag that we paid for our land over the years. I think the number was at 50, but I know it's more than that. And my request is ignored, but I hope that by next, when we want to talk about the land transfer agreement, we actually have in front of us the stables of the money we spent from bus lanes to building the airport road, I think 3 times, the 2 intersections that we mowed and demowed. So councillors have good, solid information to make decisions on. And I know one thing for sure, I'm not the chairperson in the drawer, but I know we paid $10 million for the land at Franklin Avenue that we discussed. That wasn't, we paid for that land, 4 acres, 10 million. So I'd like to defer it basically because how can we make a decision when we don't have a number in front of us?
Okay, thank you, Councillor. We'll defer to 0.5 as well. And that doesn't change Councillor Grannison's motion. Councillor Banjoko's seconded it. Have a vote on that, please.
One more.
Everybody's voted. Councillor Banjoko, do you voted on that? Councillor Walkman in favor? Thank you. Carried to 1. Thank you. Councillor McGrath, you had something to add?
If it's not too late, I think that North Parish land. I think that was a motion I made before I was educated by our good friend.
10.4.
Yeah, I'd like to remove it simply because our good friend Mr. Davies, who I've been associated with more than once, based on the prying of information, I think it's worthy that I pull that motion because it's too late, and I think I like for our time to be here, for young people that are here and the rest of the public.
Thanks, Councillor McGrath, and thanks for letting us know early in case anybody was attending to speak to that. Thank you, sir. Moving on to the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove any items from the consent agenda? Not seeing any, except someone make the motion. Councillor Grandison.
I move that the recommendations contained in item 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, and 6.4 be adopted.
Thank you. Can I have someone second the motion? Councillor Weigel, thank you. I'll call for a vote. Councillor Walkman's in favor. Thank you, and that's carried with 1 opposed. Councillor Boucher?
Councillor McGrath and Dover keep appearing as absent. They're here.
That's what I was just going to make reference to. Can we get Councillor McGrath and Councillor Dogar's vote for the record for the last 2 items, the adoption of the agenda and the consent agenda item? That's correct.
Yeah, they amended. Councillor Dogar?
In opposition to those items. Yeah.
I think they showed up in one of them. And the consent agenda, Councillor Dogar, in favor? The consent agenda in favor? And Councillor McGrath, the consent agenda in favor? Thank you. They're in favor on both. Move on to presentation We have a presentation on protection of trans rights. I'd like to invite Mitchel Bowers, Regional Advisory Committee on Inclusion and Diversity and Equity. And just a reminder, Mitchel, you have 5 minutes to present. Just remain seated for questions, please, and please remain on topic.
All right. Everyone, my name is Mitchel Bowers. I'm the Vice Chair of the Regional Advisory Committee on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, more commonly known as RESIDE. Our committee mandate is to advise, counsel, and engage the community on policies, programs, and activities aimed at promoting inclusion, diversity, and equity, and ensure that the contributions, interests, and needs of all sectors of the municipality's diverse population are reflected in the RMWB mission, operations, and service delivery. On October 31st, the UCP introduced 3 bills into the legislature, Bill 26, 27, and 29. And last week, all 3 of those bills passed. We had hoped to present to you before that happened, but we're here today. So it's fitting that we are here on National Human Rights Day because what these bills do is deny human rights. I presented to you back in, I think it was May or June, about what these bills, at that time they were just proposals, and now they've been passed into law. And they are the biggest rollback of human rights in Canadian history. The impacts of these policies is that they will limit schools and teachers to provide safe and inclusive spaces for students. It'll make people less aware of gender diverse people, which will lead to a decrease in understanding and respect for the queer community, making schools less safe. It'll have negative impacts on the mental and physical health of transgender and gender diverse people because of the limited life-affirming care and sports exclusion. It has potential to increase youth suicide rates, potential to increase youth homelessness, and we already know that 25 to 40% of homeless youth in Canada are part of the community. And studies that are recent show that 90% of trans youth in Alberta experience bullying and harassment at school already. There's been a number of new studies that focus in Alberta. And in one of those recent studies, it showed that every study focused solely on trans and non-binary students. And 100% of them said that it was hard and scary and complicated to be trans in Alberta, and that 32% of them believe that the government does not take their issues seriously nor value their lives. Every single one of those participants has also experienced transphobia in some form. 92% of them have experienced attempts at conversion therapy, which has been illegal for the past couple of years. And prior to it being banned nationally, this council banned it made a municipal bylaw banning it as well. And another recent study that did focus on the states where similar legislation has been put forward found that it increased the suicide rate of trans and non-binary youth by 72% in the regions where this kind of legislation is put forward. And we have seen that locally. We have seen increased incidences of violence and hate crimes towards trans people. And earlier this fall, we had a trans youth choose to end their life despite having supportive families and a support system. The impact of this legislation is already being felt here as we have already lost one life. What we're asking for is a show of support from the council to publicly affirm that we believe that basic human rights are protected and that the RMWB is a safe and inclusive community and that you prioritize the safety of the trans community. We would like for you to denounce and commit to reducing the hate and misinformation targeted towards trans people. And we'd like you to object to the unscientific, divisive policies that have been put forward by the province. There is a number of resources I have available, and Pride is also available to answer any questions, and I'm available to answer any questions now. Thank you.
Thanks, Mitchell. And sorry you're going through this, and I mean, it's obviously touching, like you're very engulfed in this, so I know you see what's going on. And I want to thank everybody for coming today to support Mitchell. I know there's no delegates today because it's a presentation, but I do appreciate everybody in the community coming to support him today as he comes forward. And I'd like to ask administration actually to get a briefing note to council on what the new legislation is so we can study that legislation ourselves and go through that, and we'll probably reach out for questions after that as well. Do we have any questions from council? Councilor McGrath?
But Mitch, you know, brother, my story is still the same. Love is love, and I'm no better to judge anybody. And you know, Chris Hyman, Chris and Steve show, Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. I went to school with him at Gonzaga, and we looked after Chris because he was probably the first gay guy that went to Gonzaga, and we looked after him. And as you said, they say he walked over his patio in Toronto. I know he never. Brother, I don't think there's any other community that accepts who we are. I don't see the discrimination, but I know I had 3 fine kids grow up in this community, and they came home with people to a safe home. And all I asked the kids to do, call your mom and dad and tell them you're at bloodbaths. And no matter if you're straight or crooked, you're safe, and mom and dad will have to get used to who you are, because we're all humans. We're all born with 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 hands, and there's love. It doesn't matter if you're black, brown, yellow, green, or white. Sir, you're all the same in my sight. And what happens in the province, you know, I'm not going to say nothing about a premier, you know, but I think that you have to engage your MLAs, because there is a mental toll that happens. Mitch, you're absolutely right. And I've been a school board trustee in a Catholic district, and we're probably the most judgmental people in the world. But you know what? And kids came through the doors from kindergarten to 12, teachers, administration. The world got to shift and accept who we are. I think, you know, Mayor Bowman, I believe, and everybody around this table, I don't see any prejudice here, and you'll always have my support, pal, because I seen Pride offer our home more than one, and they're still kicking around town today, and it's nice to see them. A couple of kids over there from Keano. I wish I could tell you what the province, but that's their journey. But I think that if you feel we can do something else for you, I'd love to hear it, Mitch, because you're right. It kills people. Chris Hyman, I went to school with him. He'd be alive today if he had somebody to do the right thing. And for something he can do as a councillor, or as a human, more importantly. My council day is coming to an end, but I'll still call for McMurray home. You don't get an easy time. But you know what? Down south is worse. I think this community is pretty bloody good. Holy Trinity, for example, 92 countries, kids in that school. So if you ever feel that you need someone to talk to, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't sleep a whole lot anymore. I got my own issues, you know, your own health challenges. But yeah, what was passed is passed. Municipal leaders, we'll have less to do, or the people around you will have less to do next year, because if the government don't like what you're doing, they'll just correct you anyways. So, brother, I feel your pain, but never feel you're alone. There's a lot of good people in this community, you know. And if you ever want a hamburger on the house, go see Mr. Mike.
and looking after. I've known Terrell Schaefer 30 years. It doesn't matter who you are. We're all treated the same. God bless you, buddy, and Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Councilor McGrath. Councilor Dogar?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mitchell. Brother, we love you. Love everybody in this community. And thank you very much for giving a very nice presentation that is an eye-opener for the many people who are new in the community or new Canadians coming from the other part of the world. Here in this part of the world, there's a proper education and awareness, but it is less with the new people coming. Would you recommend anything, please, that people may not do any omission or anything that give a sad impression or bad feelings to any gender?
So, yeah, we would like anybody, but especially council, to publicly make a statement supporting the trans community, and to write to the province. Pride already collected over 100 letters, which we sent to our MLAs, and one of our MLAs wasn't even willing to meet with us. And so we need the voices of our allies to be able to show up and have these conversations with them, because they're not even willing to listen to us.
So sorry.
Thank you, Councilor Dogar. Do you have any questions from council? I'm not seeing any, Mitch. So we'll get a briefing about what the actual legislation is to all council, and also engage with McCoy as well, which is our youth group in the council, and we'll can do here. Thanks for getting the courage to come up here today. It was tough for you.
Thanks.
Next, we have bylaw number 24/027, amendment to the Natural Resources Extraction Support Project Tax Incentive Bylaw, number 24/009, which is being presented for second and third reading. I'd like to invite Patrick White, Legal Services, to present, please, Patrick. Whenever you're ready, Patrick.
Good evening, Council. My name is Patrick White, Municipal Legal Counsel from Legal Services. This evening, the administration is putting forth an amendment to the recently passed Natural Resources Extraction Supports Project Tax Incentive Bylaw. Consists of three parts. One, that we're asking Council to extend this for another year to December 31st, 2025. Second is two minor changes, one that clarifies the map and the other that clarifies the language of an agreement. Very minor amendments. And that's my presentation.
Thank you, Patrick. Do you have any questions from council? I'm not seeing any, so. Do we have any delegates of this item?
We have no delegates for this item. Thank you.
Can I have someone make a motion? Councillor Grandison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that bylaw number 24/027 being an amendment to the Natural Resource Extraction Support Project Tax Incentive Bylaw. That's a mouthful. Be read a second time.
Thank you. And that's seconded by Councillor Ball. Thank you. Is there any debate, discussion, or questions or comments from council? Not seeing, I'll call for a vote. Councillor Walkman's in favor. Councilor McGrath, your vote on there? Yes, sir. Yep, that's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Can I have the motion for the third reading and final reading? Councilor Weigel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that bylaw number 24/027 be read a third and final time.
Thank you. Thank you for second, Councilor Grandison. Is there any other debate, discussion, or comments from council? I'm not seeing any, so I'm going to make a comment. I want to thank administration and all of council for actually putting this law forward to start with. We've had one company that came forward and took advantage of it. That company is constructing just north of town, inside city limits, with 275 people working at that site. And I'll read the comment they gave yesterday. It was that they only work in Alberta, interact with a lot of municipalities, large and small, in their operating areas. We found you and your administration to be open, accessible, and transparent communicators, a willingness to work with us in a flexible and fair manner right from the start. Also, it was clear, very clear, that you and your administration had the best interests of the community as a whole in mind and are truly focused on the diversity of the local economy. So that was from Wolf Midstream, and that relationship started with actually a coffee Councillor Boussier invited me to with this company, and that coffee rotated into this council making this bylaw for a tax incentive for industry to move into the community. And we are today with one, and there's another company we can't discuss yet that's actually ready to move forward. So this is a great thing. So I want to congratulate and thank all of council for the support in this, as well as administration. And with that, we'll vote. Councillor Walker in favor. Thank you. That's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Patrick. Next, we have second, third readings for bylaw number 24/029, election bylaw for council's consideration. I'd like to invite Patrick White to remain seated and invite Jade Brown, Legislative Services, to introduce the report, please.
Good evening, Council. For the record, I'm Jade Brown, Chief Legislative Officer, and I'm joined this evening by Patrick White, Municipal Legal Counsel, to provide you with an overview of bylaw 24/028, the election bylaw, which is before you for consideration of second and third readings. Bill 20 brought amendments to the Local Authorities Election Act and came into effect on October 31st this year, which necessitated an update to the municipality's election bylaw. In preparing the proposed bylaw before you this evening, we worked with the City of Grand Prairie, Medicine Hat, Red Deer, and St. Albert to create a shared contents of a bylaw in keeping with updated legislative requirements and best practice in conducting municipal elections.
Some of the changes include the use of a permanent electors register and the discontinuance of voting tabulators as seen in previous elections. The legislation also enables municipalities to request a criminal record check of all nominees. However, there is little guidance on what to do with this information once it is completed. It is also unclear if the information contained is intended to be released publicly or simply used by election staff only. This provision has not been included in the draft bylaw before you this evening for those reasons.
Updates to the election bylaw are based on benchmarking that include and relate to deposit amounts for nominations. At present, deposits are set at $100 for office of councillor and $250 for office of mayor. In the proposed bylaw, it's drafted to be in alignment with other jurisdictions, $100 deposit for the office of the mayor and $100 for office of councillor. Additionally, most municipalities require more than the legislated minimum number of electors to sign a candidate's nomination form, which is presently 5 within the Local Authorities Election Act. In the proposed bylaw, Section 22 indicates for the office of the mayor, at least 100 electors sign the nomination form, and for office of the councillor, at least 25 electors sign the nomination form. This concludes the overview of the proposed bylaw. We'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from council? Councillor Cardinal.
Thanks for the presentation, to the chair, to the presenters. I can't remember. Is it how many is for the councillors now? Is it 10? Right?
Through the chair, it's currently 5.
Oh, it's 5.
It is.
Okay. Okay. No, I just totally forgot. So thank you for that. That's all I wanted to know.
Thank you, Cardinal. Councillor Benjoko.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Thanks for the presentation. The comment I'm reading here says there are no financial impact to the changes that are being made, correct?
Through the chair, there's no financial impacts to the change of the bylaw. The financial impacts that are being imposed on the municipality are due to the legislated provisional changes with respect to the voting tabulators. Of course, as a municipality, we did expend some costs related to facilitating elections and using voting tabulators. In this upcoming election, we will be doing manual hand count, which means more staffing. So we will see some cost changes there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Benjoko. Councillor Dogar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the nice presentations, my mentor. And I just want to ask you that this census is also category-wise or some group-wise also? I mean, different background, some countries, some races. That category is being worked out or not?
Through the chair to Councillor Dogar, that's a question related to the census 2025. It's coming up this evening. The election is a little bit different than the census.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dogar. Councillor Ball. I think you're on mute, Councillor Ball.
Sorry about that. I do have a question for administration. Have you thought about, increasing the number of signatures to 25 is one thing. How does that impact the rural communities? There's a much smaller population base and it could get spread thin and you might not have a candidate.
Through the chair to Councillor Ball, that's a question. We did contemplate that as we were drafting and looking at comparables across Alberta. We did look at comparing the population as well as looking at increases to specifically Ward 1. However, we landed on 25. We thought that that was reasonable based on what we've seen throughout Alberta and throughout Canada. And to lessen the confusion with candidates, we thought to stick to the same number for all wards would be appropriate.
Yeah, well, a fair point. I realize that legislation is 5, correct?
Through the chair, it is.
Yeah, so we're multiplying that by 5. And I'm just thinking of a place like Fort McKay. I mean, how many voters are in Fort McKay, Councillor Walkman? 50, 55? I mean, that can be split right down the middle. And you could not have a candidate eligible because they're supporting one or the other. It's a worrisome number for me, just for the smaller communities. Fort McMurray, it's not an issue, but the smaller communities, I think it's a worrisome issue.
Through the chair to Councillor Ball, if you wish, you can propose an amendment that for wards other than Ward 1, that the number of electors would be 5. We can certainly, I can go back out to my office, do that, like.
I'll put that to my rural council members. Does that make sense? I mean, it certainly. It works for me, but it's more concerning for them.
Thanks, Councillor Ball. So. That's more addressed for Councillor Walkman. So go ahead, Councillor Walkman. I see you want to address that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for bringing that up, Councillor Ball. There has to be an amendment made, especially when it comes to Fort McKay. There isn't enough, like Councillor Ball just presented. There's not enough voters in there. Like it could be split, like he said, and you may not get the proper votes. And so that's something that administration should take back.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Walkman. Councillor McGrath?
Thank you, through the chair. I mean, like I know some councillors only need 70 votes to win. So you'd already know, Stu, in your area, like if you get 25, you got a quarter of the vote. My question is, I guess, through the chair, it's not broke. Why fix it? This is, I've ran in elections since 1997. And what drives the change? Because Mike DeRouche can tell you, we'll have people out measuring the signs how far they're off the road. We'll have another guy to come and say you can't put a sign on a pickup. But you know what? At the end of the day, elections are, you meet a lot of good people. And is it broke? Is the system broke? Is that why we're taking it and multiplying it by 21 cents? And you get 25 signatures, that's not the problem. But if it's not, like, there's got to be other things we could be at to make the community better. Like, who drove the change? It's not municipal led, like the government led, is it? The MGA led?
Through the chair to Councillor McGrath, there are no legislated changes to the minimum number of electors to sign the nomination forms. It is currently set at 5. This change was brought about based on the shared findings between the research of the municipalities that worked together to draft the shared contents of this bylaw. When we looked at how other municipalities operate and other municipalities with a similar structure to us raising the number is something that they looked at doing this time around in their proposed election bylaws. As noted in our alternative section of the report before you this evening, Council could choose to make a second reading amendment to Section 2022 to make that number 5, 10, however Council chooses to proceed this evening.
Like I say, I've filled out nominate, like we're the only municipality, you get 2 sheets. You get a practice sheet, like kindergarten, and you get a real sheet. And I just about lost out the last time because all I'm saying is, if it's not, like, I think our concern got to be, we have the highest spend per capita in Canada per resident. It's our jobs here around the table to lead and get us back to the provincial average, because the headwinds are going to match in about 2028, where a lot of these people around, we're going to get a tax hike. I think that's where our energy has to be spent. It's not broke. I just get amazed sometimes that something that's perfectly fine, like a plant that grows pretty by itself, why would you touch it? Get on to the plants that don't grow. And what I'm talking about is we're spending over $6,000 a head in this municipality.
And we can get into that. Any kind of amendments, Councillor McGrath?
Could I just recommend that we move on to the business of the day? Because I tell you, if we don't start dealing with that, there'll be a lot of people moving.
And there's other parts of the bylaw that are mandated to do by the province, so that we have to do during the Changes in Election Act. So this is just part of it. So
and that's what I asked.
Yeah.
Is it municipal? Because I, as a councillor, I never got no memo saying that it's going to change. And I'm not talking about the municipality. I'm just saying that overall, because we're partners and associates of, the municipal Alberta, and like I say, in rural, I'm just saying if we're asked by the government to make the change, because now we got to get all new papers, right? We can sign on the back. I know that. How to do it. Because most people that run for council, they don't come in with 5 signatures. They come in with 10 or 15, because there could be a couple of hoodlums not have, an address, and then you're buggered. So I just think that if it's asked by the government, no problem. But if it's something on our file that's working, we got a lot of fish to fry.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McGrath. Councillor Cardinal?
Can I make a friendly amendment?
Do that in next reading? The second reading, yeah.
Next reading? Jade's sitting over there, so who's going to help me with my amendment?
Hear any questions from council? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Cardinal.
I had it written down here, sorry. Thanks, Mayor. To the chair, to the presenters. Why the change in the dollar amount?
Could you repeat the question? Sorry, Councillor Cardinal.
No problem. Why the change in dollar amount?
Through the chair to Councillor Cardinal, that was simply because of the benchmarking that we did with the other mid-sized municipalities. We found that we were charging more than the others, and so we've reduced the cost. So it used to be $250 for the mayor, and now it's $100 for either office, councillor or mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cardinal. Do we have any questions, other questions from council? I'm not seeing any. Do we have any delegates to this item? I think, is Mike in the next reading? Have you registered, Mr. Deranger? Yeah, well, just want to say your name for the record, and just remind you have 5 minutes to speak, and just remain on topic, please.
Good evening, and thank you for entertaining me, Mayor and Council. I didn't register because I wasn't sure whether I was going to speak to this or not. The concern I have is a change in a bylaw that changes the platform. The fact that we're looking at potentially changing it for rural and for urban is a little unsettling to me. I believe if we're going to create a bylaw, it needs to be equal. 5 works. It's not a great number, but it's fair across the board for everyone. And equality is something we've heard about tonight. We've always talked about it. So, in the vote, these things will weed itself out. People are willing to put their money forward. They should have the ability to be able to step forward. I believe if you're looking at amendments, Councillor Kendrick, Councillor Gardner, that, it would be nice to see that it remains status quo at 5 and not a factor of 5 times that much. Yes, I understand for the rural, it's a lot more problematic, that number. But looking at even through the municipalities, through the urban area, I don't think we should have a difference. We should be able to have an equal standing. If you're looking to serve, you should have that. What type of candidate you get, you might be surprised. Some people come out of the woodwinds and win elections that you never suspect. Sometimes we look at the candidates that we have and like we've heard before in movies, none of the above. This allows everyone an equal footing to run on their merits, present their platforms, and if there's merit, it'll come out in the wash. But to set the stage where it's different. Regarding the fees, I believed in our two-stage series that the $100 for a councillor and $250 for mayors sounds about right. We want somebody serious running for the mayor. They also have to be able to reach the entire municipality, and it's not just the ward that they're in, and that requires a much larger commitment. I don't think $150 more running for mayor position is a hardship in any manner, not in this location. Those are my 2 cents.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Most of those things I think are going to come up in the amendments, but I want to just hang on for some questions. Councilor McGrath.
Thank you, through the chair. Bowman's okay. He's all right.
Thanks, appreciate that.
I'm sorry. Mike, thanks for coming. And as long as you don't put the measuring tape out on, I'm all done. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I do want to be on record for saying that first time in 35 years.
Thank you, Councillor.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor McGrath. Councilor Ball?
Yeah, I'd like to echo those. That's why I brought this question forward. So I absolutely agree with you, Mike.
Thank you, Councillor Ball.
There you go, Mr. Ranger. Councilor Cardinal.
Thanks for your presentation there, Mr. DeRoche, to the chair, to the presenter. So we're talking about incentives. You know, you talk about a little bit of incentives of, not having a mayor that just pays $150 or whatever, $100 or $250 or $500. You know what I'm saying? It provides a bit of an incentive to get somebody that's wanting to be the mayor. Do you feel that raising the amount of signatures that you get for the mayor would provide some sort of an incentive for the person that is running, so they can actually go out and rally their vote or whatever?
Through the chair to Councillor Cardinal, I don't believe it does. And the reason I say that is a mayor is not going to win by 25 votes. So the number that we're talking about gathering for those positions tend to create their own issues. I mean, if a person's willing to put down the money, give them the chance. Who knows where they'll end up? The bottom line is they're going to need a substantial amount of votes in order to win that position. I think what it does by raising that fee, it prevents the general public becoming a nuisance during an election, during debates and that, of moving the key questions that may be asked to a candidate in those situations. So those of us who attend these debates through the candidates, we sit through all the questions and that just the same way as you do, but we also want more meat and potatoes in our answers. We want candidates who can provide those meat and potato answers. We want to make sure that they're prepared. And so that extra dollars kind of, to a small degree, eliminates the person who's not in it for the right reason, may I say?
No, one more question. Do you agree that going from 5 to 25 shows a more of a commitment from the, I don't know what the word is, but the
seriousness moving forward?
The applicant, yeah.
Potentially, yes. But do I see it worthy of this bylaw? No, I don't. I don't see enough there. Like I said, there's absolutely in the rural a case for what you talk about, that 25 signatures in some of the rural areas could become a hardship, could actually become a determination. But in the Ward 1, I don't see it really would make that big of a difference. Once again, the candidates are going to have to present and see where they stand. A candidate has 25 signatures, may only have 25 signatures. Obviously, for councillors, sometimes they're won by, 150 votes will get you a spot sometimes. So I don't see that. I want to see the possibilities there as a taxpayer, as a voter. I want to see what I have to choose from. Because some of us aren't that well known. And so when you run, it's giving you a platform to showcase yourself and your thoughts and ideas, where some of us that are well known run strictly on how well we're known. And That may be a good thing, it may be a bad thing. We all remember counselors from the past. Not, of course, this council, of course.
I beg to defer.
I plead the fifth.
Thanks, Councilor Cardinal. I don't see any more questions, so thanks, Mike. Appreciate your views.
Thank you for your time.
Can I have someone make the second reading of bylaw number 24/028? Councilor Grandison?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that bylaw number 24/028 be in the election law be read a second time.
Thank you. Thanks for the second, Councilor Weigel. At the end of the discussion, debate points or comments from council. Councilor Benjoko?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm a bit lost. I thought there will be some amendments. At what point can we make the amendments?
Amendments can be presented at this time as soon as second reading is on the floor.
Councilor Benjoko, go ahead.
Oh, I thought Councilor Wakwan is ready to make the announcement, to make the changes, or Councilor Cardinal?
Somebody can start.
Oh, okay.
Whoever wants to start.
Okay. Okay, I think the major message for us is to leave the word 2, 3, and 4, I would say, to be the same number. And for word 1, I think 20 or whatever number they propose, we're okay with. I'm okay with that. I don't know if it's an amendment or a comment.
3 and 4 stay 5?
Yes. Or 20 or whatever makes it. We had 10 before. CLO? How many?
Through the chair, it's presently in the current bylaw at 5, the legislated minimum.
But that's the only change you are bringing to us tonight?
This change in the deposit amounts.
Okay.
There's other changes as well throughout the bylaw with respect to how we conduct our elections, manual hand count, and removing the voting tabulator reference.
Okay, thank you. I think 10, 20, whatever is okay.
I'll just make a motion if you want.
Yes, please.
If Councilor Cardinal just asked me to take 5-minute motion break to discuss it, so we can get it kind of figured out, so everybody's not going in different directions.
Thank you.
I'll put my 2 cents. I'll put my 2 cents in before you disappear into a room then.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Ball.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Ken. Yeah, I agree with Councilor McGrath. Let's just leave it as status quo.
Okay, thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Councilor Ball. So we'll just go in camera for a minute and we'll come back with a motion.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. Councillor Cardinal, would you like to make the amended motion of bylaw number 24/028, please?
Thanks, Mayor. That bylaw number 24-028 be amended by striking 100 in section 22A and replacing it with 10 and striking 25 in section 22B and replacing it with 10 and by striking $100 in section 19E and replacing it with $100 for councillor and $250 for mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cardinal. It's down. Are there any other debate, discussion, or comments from council? Councillor Cardinal, do you want to?
Well, I guess I kind of wanted to just discuss a little bit about it just being 10 right across the board for Ward 1 and all the other wards. And I did want to clarify that Ward 2 is Fort Chipewyan and Fort McKay. So the number wouldn't affect the population in Fort McKay because Ward 2 is Fort Chipewyan and Fort McKay and Fort Fitzgerald. So that's just a little clarity, but also in the growing of our population, that just suits the growing of numbers and signatures that we need to get. So thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Cardinal. Any other questions, comments, or debate points from council? I'm not seeing any, so I'll call for a vote. Councillor Walkman's opposed.
Opposed.
Thank you, Councillor Walkman. And that's carried with one opposed. Thank you. Can I also make the motion for the third reading?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, go ahead.
As a chair, you will need to vote on second reading as amended. It's already been put on the floor and seconded. So the motion you just voted on was to amend the bylaw, revert back to voting on second reading now as amended. It's already been put on the floor.
Okay, Councillor Cardinal, do you want to read the amended? Okay.
It doesn't need to be read. If there's no more debate, Mr. Mayor, you could choose to call for a vote.
Okay, if no one has any other questions or comments or debate points, we'll vote again. In favor? No, it's not coming up here. And Councillor Walkman in favor? And can I make the motion, Councillor Grandison?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that bylaw number 24/028 be read a third and final time.
Thank you. Councillor Ball and Councillor Walkman.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Favor.
That's carried with one opposed. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the report on municipal census 2025. I'd like to invite Amanda Owens and Koju Ifu, Planning Development Services, to introduce the report, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, my name is Amanda Owens, Director of Planning and Development Services. With me this evening is Kojo Ifu, Manager of Customer Experience and Analytics. We are here this evening requesting Council approval to conduct a municipal census in 2025. Kojo will take it from here. Thank you, Kojo.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Since our last census in 2021, the Government of Alberta has reinstated the census regulation and the municipal population list. Therefore, the RMWB must conduct a census in 2025 and update its shadow population count if we want to have accurate numbers for population-based grant funding. If the RMWB does not proceed, the 2021 federal census number will be used by default and therefore do not include the shadow population. The 2025 municipal census is the first to be conducted under the new Alberta Municipal Affairs Census Regulation. Census 2025 seeks to establish new, accurate, and reliable benchmark of the permanent and non-permanent population of the region. Up-to-date population and demographic information is important for planning and delivering municipal programs, how the region is changing, and for receiving grants. If Council authorizes administration to conduct a census in 2025, enumeration will start April 1st and finish on June 30th, 2025. April 1st, 2025 has been designated as the official census day and serve as reference point for enumeration. This means all individuals living or working within the municipal boundaries on census day are required to be counted to ensure an accurate count. The enumeration process will include all individuals within the region, covering the urban service area, rural communities, and project accommodations. Enumeration will be conducted through three primary methods: self-reported online responses, door-to-door interviews, and telephone interviews. Upon Council approval of a Census 2025, administration will prioritize effort to maximize public awareness and participation, emphasizing the importance of the census. Once enumeration is complete on June 30th, the census team will process and finalize the data collected, which must be submitted to Alberta Municipal Affairs by September 1st, 2025. Administration will prepare a public report that outlines the update demographic information of the region. This concludes our presentation.
Thank you, Kojo. Do we have any questions for administration? Councilor Benjoko.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Thank you for the presentation. Just to refresh in my memory, was there any grant loss as a result of not conducting the census 2024?
Through the year, no, there's no grant has been lost. Before this meeting and in preparation of the census, I spoke with the grant administrator of the regional municipality of Burford and asked for some numbers, and based on the numbers that we have, the 2018 population is still being used for grant purposes, so we haven't lost any.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Bowman.
Thank you, Councilor Majoko. Do you have any questions for administration? I'm not seeing. Do we have any delegates for this item?
We have no registered delegates for this item, Mr. Mayor.
Can I have someone make the motion? Councilor Benjoko.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I move administration conduct a municipal census in 2025 in accordance with the census regulation and the Alberta Municipal Affairs Census Manual.
I'm not working. We're having technical issues, so we'll do it manually. So Councillor Banjoko moved the motion. Someone second that? Councillor Cardinal second. Thank you, Councillor Cardinal. Now it's working. Do you have any debate points, comments, or from council? Not seeing any. I'll just thank you for all the work you've done, Kojo and Amanda, and we'll make sure we give Minister MacGyver a phone call and let him know that we have got our census underway. He'll be happy to hear. So I'll call for a vote. It is. Should be now. And that's in favor, Councillor Walkman? And Councillor Ball?
In favor.
I voted in favor.
Thank you. And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Kojo. Next, we have a report on designated affordable housing accommodations. I'd like to invite Laura Farquharson, Corporate Services, to introduce her report, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, my name is Laurie Farquharson, Chief Financial Officer. The province of Alberta is introducing property tax exemptions for affordable housing accommodations under Section 363 of the Municipal Government Act, effective January 1st, 2025. This initiative aims to support affordable housing providers and improve housing availability for those in need. The Ministry of Seniors, Community and Social Services will maintain a list of affordable housing accommodations which will be reviewed on an annual basis and publicly posted for those municipalities and housing providers to access. The list of accommodations, as identified by the Ministry for 2025, is outlined in Attachment 2, which identifies 21 properties. The tax exemption would enhance affordable housing availability while alleviating operational costs for not-for-profit organizations dedicated to supporting the affordable housing sector. The estimated reduction in annual tax revenue to the municipality in 2025 is approximately $465,000. However, Council retains the authority to make these accommodations taxable through bylaw under Section 363 of the MGA. Administration is recommending that the tax exemption for affordable housing accommodations from property taxes, as outlined in the Council report and presented on Attachment 2, be approved. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Lori. I see in this, what's proposed to be like an annual tax loss of $465,000. Is there another way we're going to try to recover those funds that we're thinking of?
Through the chair to the chair, that's not something that was up for discussion. But,
thank you.
I mean, the tax rate is at council's discretion as well.
Thanks. Have any other questions from council? Do we have any delegates to this item?
We have no delegates for 9.2. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have someone make the motion? Councillor Grandison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the tax exemption for affordable housing accommodations from property taxes outlined in this report be approved.
Thank you, Councillor Grandison. And thank you for the second, Councillor Weigel. Do you have any other debate, discussion, or comments from council? Not seeing us, I'll call for a vote. Councillor Walkman.
In favor.
Thank you. That's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have a report on Wood Buffalo Housing 2024 Sustaining Grants. I'd like to invite Lori Ferguson, Corporate Services, to remain seated. And whenever you're ready, Lori.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. For the record, my name is Lori Farquharson, Chief Financial Officer. Wood Buffalo Housing and Development Corporation is a controlled corporation under Section 75.1, subsection 2 of the Municipal Government Act. Wood Buffalo Housing was established by the Regional Municipality of Wood Buffalo in 2001 to provide affordable housing programs for the region. The mandate of these programs is supported by the Province of Alberta under Section 1A of the Alberta Housing Act. Since 2016, Wood Buffalo Housing has been facing cash flow challenges and has requested assistance from the municipality. On March 8, 2022, Council passed a motion to provide $5 million towards Wood Buffalo Housing mortgage debt servicing. And on April 25, 2023, Council approved a motion to provide $6,475,076 as a sustaining grant to Wood Buffalo to pay out 2 mortgages and cash flow for additional mortgage payments. In addition, administration was directed to work with Wood Buffalo Housing to retire the debt of Siltstone Place in 2026, which has an annual mortgage payment of $1,466,124 and a projected balance at term in September of 2026 of $18,039,932. Wood Buffalo Housing is requesting the funds to pay out the Siltstone mortgage to stabilize their cash flow and focus efforts on long-term strategic efforts towards asset maintenance and replacement while providing critical services to the RMWB residents. Administration is recommending that the amount of $18,039,932 be allocated from a combination of 2024 fiscal savings and the emerging issues reserve to pay out the Siltstone mortgage held by Wood Buffalo Housing and Development Corporation by March 31st, 2025, and that Wood Buffalo Housing and Development Corporation be directed to pay in full the Siltstone mortgage principal and penalties prior to March 31st, 2025. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Lori. Do you have any questions from council? Councilor Grandison?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You had indicated the vote, and I'd like to remind my fellow colleagues that that was a unanimous vote. But Lori, when this was presented and this plan was established with council, I draw you back to the time, and if memory serves me correct, the issue was the Siltstone was a property that was built much to, basically imposed by council, and that they've gotten to a point where it's either service the debt or maintain their assets. Do you remember this conversation? And this was the solution that was, after all of the information was presented, this was the solution that was approved to move that organization forward. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Through the chair to Councillor Grandison, I don't remember all the exact details, but yes, that is my understanding. And at the time, we didn't support paying out the mortgage at that time because the amount of interest income we were earning was prime minus, I think, 0.5 or 0.75. So we were gaining substantial interest income on our cash balances, which is why I suggested we were getting double the value in interest income than what we're paying for their mortgage rate of approximately 2.4%.
So we left it to this point in time because we were making more interest on the money we had in the bank. Otherwise, we would have paid it at that time. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Grandison.
Well, that was the proposal.
Correct.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you, Councillor Grandison. Do you have any questions from council? Councillor Benjoko?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman, and thank you, CFO, for the presentation. I'm not sure if she'll be the one to answer the question. Do we know, or do we have any figure for the revenue that is generated, the rent or income that comes from that property as at now?
Through the chair, Councillor Benjoko, that's not information that I have, but I just believe their CEO is here. She may be able to speak to that.
Okay. All right. And currently the property is being occupied, correct? You don't know as well? Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll hold and wait for the CEO.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Benjoko. Councillor Boussier?
To the chair. Lori, have we looked at other options like restructuring their debt? Is it possible a shareholder's loan? We lend them money, we carry the mortgage. Have we looked at gaps in our housing for seniors and elders? And have we looked at Cano housing for maybe they could use some housing? Like, have we looked at other options, or is it just, and I guess the hardest thing to say is no. And then obviously I'm not supporting this because I think we need to find other strategies or other avenues to work our way out of this. Certainly the banks come to me. I don't think they come to Councillor Wagle and say, hey, listen, we're going to release you, retire your debt because interest rates have gone up. Or so I guess, have we thought about different strategies instead of coming back to the trough and asking us to retire the debt?
Through the chair to Councillor Bussier, I was following the direction of council to work with Wood Buffalo Housing to retire their debt. I didn't propose another option.
Is it something that, through the chair to CFO Lori, is it something that, do you believe there's other options out there?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair to Councillor Bussier's question, before when I was previously with Buffalo Housing, we did look at all the options before we even came to council, and that was primarily the only avenue that was left was coming to council. We tried everything, looking at how we could increase revenue. We done that, and eventually, when we started to look at what our assets were, asset management was needing, the cost maintenance in the future years, it became quite clear that unless we get some help with the debt and the debt service for Siltstone, we would not be able to populate our asset management fund going forward to create the funds needed to maintain the assets in the future. So at some point in time, it was the saw-off was, do we come to council and ask for help with the debt for Siltstone, or do we just continue to expend our funds, deplete the limited reserve that we have until such times as we would need to come back when it would be maintenance? So we either do it now or we wait until later, and then Wood Buffalo Housing will be coming back continually year on, year in for funding for sustainability.
Through the chair to our CEO, have we thought about maybe liquidizing or monetizing our asset? Thought about selling one of our buildings and maybe shoveling some folks around, or like there's other options. I will not be satisfied there's no options except come to the municipality and ask the taxpayers to retire a debt that's certainly not the fault of Patricia. Certainly, I don't think it's the fault of your serving 4 or 5 years. We overbuilt. You can say that with the airport. You can say that with a lot of assets in the community. Everybody keeps coming back here saying, here, help me. Nobody helps me. Nobody helps Stu from the bank. Interest rates have gone up on a lot of folks when it comes to rental properties. I mean, anybody new in a mortgage in the last year that had a mortgage 4 or 5 years ago have seen interest, their mortgage rate from 1.75 to 6.1, 6.2. And I can tell you, there's not a bank in this world that will forego or retire someone's debt just because they want to. It's irresponsible for us just to retire the debt without looking at other strategies.
Thanks, Councilor Bussier. We'll keep right now to move along. I just want to make sure to remind everybody to keep your questions now. We can end debate later, and those are some very good points. Councilor Grandison?
I'll wait for mostly for the debate, but just in response to one of the questions that Councilor Bussier brought up, the value of the property is less than the mortgage, and that was brought up when the initial discussions were talked. So you'd sell the property and take a significant loss because Councilor Bussier is correct. Wood Buffalo Housing didn't enter into this property.
Why should there debate?
And we can get into that in debate as well, Councilor Grandison.
Thank you.
Right now, we just want to get questions from council so we can move along. I don't know who's online there. Is that Councilor Dogar? Councilor Dogar, you have a question? Councillor Dogar, do you have a question?
Sorry. Yes, I have a question.
Okay,
I
thank
am
you.
reframing my sentences and the ideas, so I will ask towards the end. Thank you, please.
Thank you. Councillor McGrath, you have a question?
I do, Mr. Mayor, I just wondered, the vacancy rate, I think it still hovers past 10%. And would this be a continuous support of, I think it was just probably 2 years ago, maybe 3, it was 5 million injected. I'd have to agree with, okay, because I guess the question is, we're not always going to have this kind of cash. And I guess as councillors, I guess the question is, what could we do more for Wood Buffalo Housing to maintain or try to populate there's a funding gap between, I don't totally understand it, but the envelope of funding that the parents used to give out, they don't give it out anymore, and people could be doing without it, you know? So I just wonder what could be doing as elected officials so that, because I don't think we could keep up just doling out the dough. Is there something that we could do, you know, as a team to campaign and then lobby province to develop those vacancy rates with people that are actually on the wait list?
Deanne, could you maybe, is there any use in Wood Buffalo efforts advocating to the province for any other funding for Wood Buffalo Housing for, like Councillor McGrath mentioned, a homeless initiative or low-income housing?
Through the chair to the chair, I think it's always useful to advocate for that. Supporting like seniors housing or low income housing would be beneficial for the community and for Wood Buffalo Housing.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Councillor Dogar, you have a question?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I was little late. What is the wordings of the motion? Please help me.
There's no motion right now.
Okay, I keep my comments reserved once that there's a debate on the motion. Thank you.
Councillor Benjoko?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. My comment is similar to what others have said, my colleagues. I think to go ahead and dish out another 18 million is tough to even consider, and I know of many students who are looking for places to sleep. So that's why I asked the question about the vacancies in the building. So hopefully we get to hear from the CEO. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions to administration? I'm not seeing any. Thank you, Lori. Do we have any delegates to this item?
We do. We have one registered delegate. Yes.
Michael Ferreira? And Michael, if you just say your name for the record, and you have 5 minutes to present, just remain on topic and remain seated for questions afterwards, please.
Okay, my name is Michael Ferrero, just a resident. I'm a little lost on something here, on a couple of things actually. I think I should probably start by maybe apologizing in advance to Mr. Hunter because I'm going to kind of talk about you for a minute. And it's not really a criticism, but prior to this, you were with Wood Buffalo Housing. And I think in defense of you, I think Wood Buffalo Housing's had issues long before you and probably will long after you, just looking at these numbers. But it seems kind of strange to me that we're having we gave them $5 million in 2022, $6.5 million in 2023, and now you're in a different role as an administrator here, and you know we're recommending $18 million to your former employer. So, like, I don't want to say it's a conflict of interest, but it kind of seems conflicty to me. So my apologies for saying that, but like that's rubbing me kind of wrong. But that said, you know, we tend to run a fine line of conflict here. I mean, I watched last week. I couldn't come in person, but you know, we had a vehicle for hire person voting on the vehicle for hire thing. Not recused. Nobody asked him to be recused. Like, that just seems like a conflict to me. We have this thing going on at Mac Island Cultural Center. We had a former mayor voted to give them a bunch of money.
Just a reminder, Michael, just to remain on topic on the Wood Buffalo Housing.
Sure. Okay. Well, we'll leave that be. So, I've got some questions here. So, this is supposed to be affordable housing, and we're talking about having vacancies. In the environment that we're in right now, and we've got real estate that we own, you know, via mortgage, but we own it, and it's sitting empty in the cost of living environment that we're in. Like, to me, there should be no vacancy or no occupancy problem for discounted housing. I can't make that make sense in my head. And kind of much like what was kind of mentioned already, when's it going to end? Right? We talked about 2016. Cash flow challenges started to happen. Was 2022 the first time that the RMWB bailed them out? So what was done we knew there was a cash flow problem in 2016. What was done in 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21? We didn't address that? That's 5 years we didn't address that? And then now we're addressing it, just money? Like, I don't know. It just seems like it's just another example of we've got either poor business plans or poorly run business plans. We either run them into the ground or don't know how to run them. But it's okay, we'll just run back to Daddy RMWB because he strokes checks to everybody. But when's that going to stop? And does this come with a caveat that we pay this off, then there's no more? That's the end of it? Because, I mean, I don't know why anybody would give that money if that's not the end of it. Anyway, thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Do we have any questions for the presenter? Councillor Dogar, do you have a question?
No, I don't have a question, but I have an observation on this. If you want, if you allow me, I can pass it on.
Question for Michael.
No, Michael, I really appreciate it. He put me wise, and I now have real picture what is going on, and I'm extremely against what is.
Okay, just if you have a question for Michael.
Okay, Michael, I just appreciate him what all he has and put me wise. Okay,
thank you. And just wanted.
And my residents, I am sorry, I was unwell. Suddenly, I had to leave and come back.
To turn your light off with your hand up so we know you're not asking a question. Any other questions for our presenter? I'm not seeing any, so thanks, Michael. Appreciate you coming up. Do we have any other delegates for this item?
There's no other registered delegates for this item.
Can I have someone make the motion? Councillor Grandison?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the amount of $18,039,932 be allocated from a combination of the 2024 fiscal savings and the emerging issue reserve to pay out the Silstone mortgage held by the Wood Buffalo Housing and Development Corporation by March 31st, 2025, and that the Wood Buffalo Housing and Development Corporation be directed to pay in full the Silstone mortgage principal and penalties prior to March 31st, 2025.
Thank you, Councillor Grandison. Do we have a second for that motion? For the record, that item will be, I guess, with lack of a better word, dead. So without a seconder, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Move on to councillors' motions. We have item number 10.1, economy and localization of jobs. We'll ask Councillor Bajoko to read out her motion, please. Oh, sorry, Fox.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I move that the mayor issue a statement of support regarding localization of jobs. For the purpose of this motion, localization of jobs means individuals that work in the region and are permanent or they are residents of the region. That the mayor continue to actively engage with industry partners on initiatives in support of localization of jobs. The administration with at least one council member coordinate meetings with industry partners and relevant community stakeholders to discuss updates and strategies aimed at enhancing the economy of the region and provide updates to council as available. Such updates could include the industrial tax incentive program. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bajoko. Would you like to speak to that motion?
Yes, Mayor Bowman. Thank you. My motion is a plea to save the region. This city is built around oil sands. This might not be expedient, but it's true as of today. And I know that we all recognize the need for us to diversify the economy. My motion is a call to be more active and intentional about the state of our economy. Our partnership with industry, collaborations, and our involvement as leaders of this region, that is, mayor and council. The youths, young adults, even the children are watching and hoping that we would do something and that we would act now to save the region. I want to publicly appreciate the report of improvement and cooperation, which is as a result of the commitment and the works that are currently being done by Mayor Sandy Bowman. I commend his leadership. I want to clarify that this is not a call to end camps in our region. We would always have temporary workers, turnaround workers, project workers, but we need more people to sustain a better economy. I salute the efforts of the economic development and other have in this region. Hopefully, soon we can open up Parsons Creek and have more stores. And I see the excitement, I hear the excitement from residents about Superstore and Walmart coming to Parsons Creek. And I'm, of course, hoping for Winners and other fanciful stores to come. Without the population, it is doubtful that any of this would work. I have lived here since 2011, and I've witnessed multiple stores open and close. I also appreciate the tax incentive bylaw that was talked about and that we passed today as a council. And I appreciate the statements and commitments of our Premier Daniel. We must work in partnership with industries. Okay. Our region is probably one of the few that is not built in the entire country of Canada. I've continued to experience and see houses go on foreclosure. The reason for that is we don't have enough people here. People can come from anywhere and work in this region. As you might all know, I believe you all know I came from somewhere. But I work here, I pay my taxes here, I do my groceries here, and that's what we're asking. If you are working here, contribute to our economy. Thank you. That is my motion.
Thank you, Councilor Majoko. Can I have someone second that? Thanks, Councilor Boucher. Do we have any delegates to this item? Shuma, with the Student Association of Cano Student Association of Cano Students. And speak and then just remain seated for questions, please.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman, and thank you, the council, for having us here today. My name is Chioma Ibuke. I'm the student president for the Student Association of Keanu College, and I represent over 300,000 students at Keanu College, including international and domestic students. I'm here to talk about the importance of localization and the benefits that an increase in jobs is going to have for the students. Keanu students currently do give to the community through volunteering to the Wood Buffalo volunteer opportunities. The implement of more jobs within the community will be beneficial as to help students reduce stressors. Students currently face many stressors and would not have job currently in the community. And an increase in jobs is going to help increase stressors, creating a revenue for students to pay their bills, like their rent, and make more money for their tuition. It's going to also help students avoid future debts, like student loans. It's also going to teach students valuable skills that will be important and relevant in their future careers. Also, I would like to advise the council to also focus on localization, to first focus on hiring people within the community before hiring people outside the community, as we have to fix our home before fixing another person's home, as to say. This will also help increase sustainability. If we do focus on localization, we're going to increase sustainability by keeping well-advanced professionals within this community, which are our students. We do have students with professional background, we do have students in professional programs, and we do have students who are also looking into internship and co-op. So sustaining these students is going to help our economy grow significantly. Increasing jobs, like I said, is also going to help the mental health of our students, and also going to help students face certain stresses, fix certain stresses that they're facing. This is the only reason I have for focusing on localization, because the students are already familiar with this community. They will have more ideas on how to help this community improve, which is what we need. We need improvement in our community. So keeping the students here, helping them get jobs, building the talent building on the skills is going to help the students significantly. I do have possible solutions that I could give to the council that they could consider moving forward. One of it would be for the municipality to investigate why there's a shortage in job and work with these industries and companies to fix this problem. To also focus on hiring local people, like I said, outside the local people rather than people outside the communities. Let's focus on making our local people, which includes international students, domestic students. I am here speaking on behalf of the students. So if we can focus on hiring international and domestic students before focusing on hiring people outside the community, that would be great. By prioritizing our own people who are currently here, paying the taxes, as Mrs. Funke Banjoko said. To create job opportunities by advocating to provincial governments about the struggles that the locals are currently facing. To support local businesses and encourage them to hire students. So this concludes my presentation. I'm open to any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you're one person who talks faster than I do. Appreciate you coming in. It's really good to hear from the students of Cano. What do you do at Cano?
I'm currently in the Bachelor of Science in the nursing program, and I do have some students here with me also.
Very well. I think if you're doing nursing, you'll have a job here forever.
Yes.
Councillor Banjoko, your question?
Thank you very much for coming forward, and I just want to appreciate the students for getting involved, and this is what we like, and we want to encourage you. So thanks for coming forward and making your voices heard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Banjoko. Do we have any questions from council? I'm not seeing any, so thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions from council or debate points or comments? Councillor Grandison?
Just one, Mr. Mayor. Are you not already doing all of these things?
In some way or form. I'll go last and talk about what's being done and where they are, but thank you, Councillor Grandison. Yes. Councillor Weigel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do appreciate the motion, and I will be supporting it because I think we all want localization of jobs and to work with industry. I think that's said. I have had a lot of conversations, not on my council role, but just in conversations with industry, and do know that it is on the forefront of their mind too. I do hear there are initiatives already going on, and they're in the same conversation right now that this is the direction that they are going currently and looking to continue to go. And so sometimes we talk about it being broken, and I don't know if we're broken. It just, we need to move towards a continued goal together. And so I'll be supporting this, of course, as we always want localization of jobs, but I just want to commend the industry that they're already working on this, and that the conversations that I've had anyways, that it seems like an initiative that they're doing. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Weigel. Any other question, comments, or debate points? Councillor Cardinal?
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks for bringing the motion forward, Councillor Banjoko. I just would like to thank Mayor Bowman and administration for all the hard work they have done with the we really need to make a shift in how we administer our communications with industry, and get into more agreements, finding out their demands and what it is that they're actually looking for, and hopefully they can communicate that with us a little more, and it just looks like it's starting to pay off, and the community partnership with Pathways is a great step forward, and I look forward to collaborating with Mayor and Council and industry partners and finding a path forward together. So thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Cardinal. Councillor Boussier?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Bowman. Through the chair, I echo Councillor Weigel's comments. I do believe industry is working on localization and things, and I commend Councillor Banjoko for bringing this forward. I guess the one thing, and I think Councillor McGrath can speak to it too, back in the first time I served in 13, CEO Ulak and CEO Antoniak, we had meetings in the 7th floor with industry. We had Mr. Little, Mr. Ward, and other folks, and we just kind of talked about the community. You know, they're obviously tight-lipped about their strategies and things, but we are in the seventh floor. We did have some conversation, and for the most part, they're positive. So hopefully you can, you know, make that happen again before the end of this term. It would be nice, just a casual meet and greet, seventh floor boardroom.
Absolutely. No, absolutely agree. Thank you, Councillor Bussier. Councillor Grandison?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very happy to see the initiative of yourself and the council to improving relationships with industry as a whole. It's my own personal opinion, and I'll leave it at that, that quite often the issue was not industry but council that created the problems. We're the ones that said they had to build an airport out there, not them. We did, right? And then we complained about the camps. We're the ones who did that. We're the ones who went to industry and raised their property taxes without any information or advance warning. We're the ones who did that. So working on these relationships, I'm very happy to see that it's starting from our end. I think industry is willing to work with us, but we also have to be equitable and fair in working with them. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Grandison. Councillor McGrath?
Thank you, Mr. Bowman, Mayor Bowman. And I just want to say, in 2013, we got back to the table, and we started talking to industry, and you kept them conversations going. So I don't need to add. The only thing I'll add, and I keep saying there's an article of incorporation with the transition 18 to 1, and I hear a lot of comments, but you know, in that paper, it identifies what we're after, and we don't need any motions. What we need to do is take the lead, as you do, and not only are they the biggest contributors in Wood Buffalo, they're the biggest contributors in the nation. And we have I thought a great relationship until Carter, Newell, Little, Williams, Ward, lots of good people, lots of good leaders, and it kind of drifted away, and now we got Mr. K. But there'll always be a soft trades market that we can attract. The hard trades, with Mr. Carter back at Irving and our times are tough, but I think, Mayor, it'd be nice to have a quarterly meeting, but obviously you're the boss. And I think that you got good relations with industry, because for 7 years, there's not a mom or dad came from the oil sands and got home every night to their families. Sometimes we had 14, 15 hours before. I hear about the airport. They were engineers at the Fort Hills. When you knew a bit of history, I never heard so many people throwing people under the bus that are still there. I believe, Mr. Bell, you're doing a good job with industry, and we come out of a bit of a storm, and Lance can tell you that we did have meetings, and it'd be nice to have every quarter. And I think Sandy and them would be okay with that too. So I don't think we need a motion. I think we need to go back and find, how do we get from $6,500 a head down to somewhere where we can let our kids know that when they want to come back home, they won't have to pay $12,000 or $13,000 of land tax. And that's where we're headed. But we knew that. We have a few identifiers in the articles of Corp from 15 to 1 to 16 to 1. So I'd say, Mayor, keep up the good relationships, because not just in a marriage you need a good relationship. You need a good relationship around a horse. And it's pretty telling when they talk about the past and talk about the present. But for the next year, we have a few home runs to make, and no slight to the councillor, but and I think I told her right off the bat, we've done a lot of work with industry, but it's up to us to keep it going. And they're the biggest contributors, not just to Wood Buffalo, like I say, in the nation. They're all sought after. And tradespeople, because of the early 70s, people protected their journeyman certificates. But we do have, the Newell Foundation. We have lots of RAP programs. I think we're fortunate. Keep the relationships going that you have, and I think we're headed in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, McGrath. Councillor Lovely.
Hi, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just want to say, in the South, I don't see industry working to solve this solution about a locally force. In the last year and a half to 2 years, they're working on 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off for the fly-in, fly-out program to accommodate the workers to fly in and fly out. I'm not comfortable with it. I come from a community, a hamlet of 700 people. I should know every single person on my little street. I don't, because companies, industry, they buy up the houses, they let their workers live in there, and those are the people transferring in and out of the community as well. So, no, I'm really interested in this going forward and working with industry to try to get more local people working.
Thank you, Councillor Lovely. Council, have any more questions, comments, or debate points? I'm not seeing any, so I will end with a statement, as it's asked for in the motion, that I 100% support localization of jobs. And I am working closely. I have been good relations with Suncor, Syncrude, CNRL, Imperial, CNOC, as well as Pathways. We've been working on quite a few things, which one includes localization of jobs, retaining a skilled workforce in the community. And that's why I asked what you did at camp, because nursing is a job that we need here a lot, but localization, including apprenticeship programs, whether they're apprenticeship programs that industry is going to be supporting or apprenticeship programs the municipality is going to be behind. We need to do that to build up the skilled trades in the community for industry. And a quick fact that we just got back from Pathways a few days ago. Since we've been elected, camps have had a 12% reduction in people living in camps in the last 4 years. With that, they're working a lot on live and work local. So they made some adjustments with their procurement with some industry, as well as the contractors living local and working local. And we just made a trip, myself and Councillor Grandison, CEO, and the Chief of Staff, out to Imperial Oil for the day. It was a 2.5-hour bus ride with all the bells and whistles. An accident on super test going out, and the bus almost broke down coming back in town. So it was the real bus experience. But overall, a beautiful facility, and the stuff Imperial's doing out there is incredible. But that's a camp, as Councillor Lovely mentioned, it's a 2 week in, 2 week out, but they're 2.5 hours out of town. You can't get in there. You need to work that. And half the employees I talked to when I was out there were people that lived in Fort McMurray. So that was great to see. Even our guide that took us around, actually, he comes in and out of town every couple of days to visit his family. He's basically known as the mayor of Imperial, actually. He's a young guy from town, started off in the wash bays and worked himself up with Imperial Oil, so it's great to see. We even put in their ear that possibly instead of them landing at Firebag, they could put their planes at our airport and bust from there instead of Firebag. So that's in their ear, something to talk about. So we are working with them. And I will take that back to industry. I think it's a great idea every quarter to have a meeting with all of council, whether it's in chambers here or on the 7th floor, and we have share a few donuts and a coffee and talk about what's going on and what we can do to work together. And I think working in a way that not just benefits the community, but also benefits industry, that's where we're going to work. And they're in a business as well, and they need to make sure that business works. So if we can come to a common agreement on what works for both of us, and we both gain from it, because they're changing their business model and they're seeing that people living in town actually is a better business model for them. So I'm hoping we get some progression on this partnership committee we're working on. We've seen this place go from a small town to boom town to a hometown it is now, and we want to see it grow gradually, not take those big jumps we've seen in the early 2000s. We want a community that we can raise our families in safely and have the facilities accommodate that, whether it's schools, hospital, healthcare, our college. I know that you're maxed out in capacity right now too. Our detox centers are maxed out. Our SPCA is full, so we need to make sure we gradually build up the local population, but at the same time, we like the people to be working in town, to be making their living here, graduating from high school, staying in the community. I think that's where we're going to see our population growth. And the work we're doing with industry has been very successful. We built a really great relationship, I believe, in the last 3 years with the industry. I'm speaking with quite a bit, and I definitely support this motion. And we'll continue to do what we're doing. And I'll definitely talk about what we're doing more. So thanks, Councilor Mitchell, for bringing this forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I truly appreciate it. This is my closing comment. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone who has come around. Some are not speaking, but I hear you from your body language. The Construction Association, Build Wood Buffalo, and the students, of course, and everyone who is listening in at home. We have today been able to address the elephant in the room. It's long overdue. We shouldn't allow Keanu to become another revolving door. Not the students shouldn't relocate, but we should be able to keep some of them. We should continue with the leadership of Mayor Bowman to continue to explore opportunities and maximize the oil sands. There are some processes of the oil sands that we can actually use to create more jobs. One of such is fabrication. And then other processes that we have enough land that we can offer and make people come here and do some of these processes here. We can also think about working on, which I've discussed with Mayor Bowman before, the byproducts from the oil sands. We can find a way to utilize and turn the waste to products that can be utilized. I appeal to my colleagues, and I appreciate most of everyone that has spoken, and I see that we are all passionate about our region, and we want the economy to turn around and be better than it is right now. And thank you all. I know we will take action today by voting to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bujoko. So I'll call for a vote. Councilor Walkwin in favor?
In favor.
Thank you. Councilor McGrath in favor. Councilor Dogar in favor. And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Are we moving on to item 10.2, Wood Buffalo Economic Development Corporation Audit? I'd like to ask Councilor Bussier to read out his motion, please. Oh, turn on lights.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I move that council direct the CAO to immediately conduct a forensic investigation into the expenditures of the Wood Buffalo Economic Developer Corporation. Investigation will be conducted by a specialist under the direct oversight of council to ensure independence, objectivity, and an unbiased result. Recommendations are to be presented to council as soon as possible.
Thank you, Councilor Bussier. Can I have a second for that motion, please?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Councilor McGrath. Councilor McGrath seconded it. Councilor Bussier, would you like to speak to that motion?
Yeah, thank you, Mary. Just first of all, I'd like to thank you and Councillor Wagle and Councillor McGrath for stepping up earlier in the summer to form the board. The real reason I'm bringing this forward, Mayor Bowman, is a few meetings ago, Councillor McGrath mentioned about a forensic audit. Our CFO, Lori Farquharson, who I appreciate mentioning that she said she agreed with it. It would be like hitting a home run, and she agreed. And I guess at the end of the day, we did an internal audit ourselves, and out of the conclusions, what perfectly states that with this in mind, audit suggests a forensic audit of the organization. So this is coming right out of our own internal audit. So that's the reason I'm bringing it forward, just to follow up with the internal audit that was already done.
Perfect. Thank you. Do we have any questions? Sorry, do we have any delegates to this item? Someone's mic's online there. The back noise. Michael Ferrer? And again, Michael, I have to ask you if you can say your name before you present, and stay within 5 minutes and remain on topic, please. And remain seated following for questions, Michael.
Sorry about that. Again, it's Michael Ferrero, just a resident. October 22nd, 2024, I remember it very well. It's the first time I spoke from this chair, and it was very eye-opening. You need to sit in this seat one time, and so many questions get answered. That meeting, there was ECDEV discussion, and the meeting was kind of a farce start, but I learned so much that evening about how things work in this room. Strangely, no one had any questions for me. And then a little later in the evening, Counselor even accused me of being a liar, so that was kind of fun. So, just so we're all clear, if we draw a big circle around this horseshoe to include this chair, I'm the one person who's never told a lie in this room. Since that meeting,
That's upheld. If you could go back to stick with the topic.
You're going to
here
sit there and insult us.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Ball. So if you could stick to the motion that's been forwarded, Michael.
since that meeting almost 2 months ago, how much revenue has ECDEV brought in directly? It was supposed to be self-sustaining after a couple years. Well, 5 years and what, $50 million later? Where are we? We fired an entire board. We replaced it with council. Then by magic alone, apparently, we now have another board. Has the RM ever moved that fast? Ever, on anything? I mean, that's a question for councillors that have been here for a number of years. From conception of board to a new board, that's mind-numbing to me. That tells me something too. As far as what's on the table, to me, this is a no-brainer for council. I was sitting at that same meeting when our CFO said, we talk about forensic audits, and ECDEV would be a field day for a forensic audit. And our CFO agreed. And now, in something that's available to council apparently, your internal audit is saying probably should have a forensic audit. Honestly, that should be enough right there. Like, I don't even know, I don't think you need debate. I mean, council and its own, numbers person think it's warranted. Your internal audit thinks it's warranted. I mean, the public should be watching this vote really clearly and really closely. To me, anyone voting against this, I mean, I don't think you have the best interests of the RMWB at heart. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Do you have any questions? I don't know. Is that Councillor McGrath or Councillor Dover? Councillor McGrath?
Just a point of clarity. If I heard it correctly, there's one guy in the room. I'm not going to get to the pity, but I can tell you that the workers, the people on the front lines, there's been a lady that's been part of ECDEV in the community for about 15 years, and I spent some time at the YMM startup. I started to understand what was left of them. They've done good. And a new board, that was always the plan. and council that gets scolded, as you know, like we are voting with clear minds, and I take exception to be called a liar, but I'm not going to get petty like that. But I take your words, and this is not easy, because you're right, and that's why we did what we did, and that's why we're going to do what we're going to do. So you call a liar, not nice, not right, but everybody got their own opinions. As Guy would say, 10 fingers, 10 toes. We all have opinions, but I know I spent 5 months along with Stu, Mr. Bowman, Mr. Hunter, and Lance, my friend on the sidelines. Dev, it's in a good place. They're starting a fresh start. And the people on the front lines, the men and women that work there, it's all about leadership. And when somebody can say, we never went to the rural communities in 5 years, that's on all of us. We're just trying to make things right. So I salute Lance. I know Lance Bougier don't lie. And I know everybody else around that table don't lie. So I'll take one for the team. We're a bunch of liars. Let the public decide next summer when I'm done. And I hope that a guy like yourself puts your name in and gets scrutinized. And my point is this. That's why the motion's out there. And you can think what you like of, but she's a tough girl. And I think everybody around this table has the best interests of the community at heart. We made wrong decisions on bad information. We're trying to correct that. And the last guy was perfect. He's born on Christmas Day. Thank you.
Councillor Dogar, do you have a question?
Yes, sir, I have a question.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me the chance. I really appreciate Councillor Lance Bouzier. I know he's a very truthful man, and the motion he produced is really worth it, that it must be appreciated. I appreciate last time he brought a motion of that was a fantastic, that was a check on few, but, I know people don't like checks and balances, so that was not approved. I strongly recommend it. Now we should approve.
Do we have any questions for the presenter?
Yes, presenter. Best Lance is the, also I appreciate Mr. Ferrara for highlighting it. Mr. Bouzier's question is that it would be having some bearing on your last motion, which
No, Councillor Dogar, questions are for Michael Ferreira, who's presenting. He's still in front of us. Do you have a question for him?
Sorry, he's presenting or he is as a guest speaker? Okay, I appreciate his point of view. I got his point of view also. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Weigel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Michael, thank you for the presentation. It's always good to hear from the public, and I think it's important to hear the views, and especially I think that sometimes that we're blind to what we do here individually and how it's perceived in the public, so it's always great to hear from you. Question for you. Do you remember, or did you hear the motion that was originally put on the floor when we disbanded the Economic Development Board and what our intent was going forward?
Yes. I guess a little point of clarity on the question, though. What does this have to do with a forensic audit?
It just has to go to your comments. You made a comment in the fact that you've never seen the RMWB in this council never work so fast to move something.
Well, I can't think of a time when we've gone from conception to new committee in span of month. I can't think of one. I welcome anybody on council to correct me.
Sure.
Right.
So,
And if I know the RM can get some of that stuff done, that's great. I'd like to know the RM can get some stuff done, because I've got a couple things that, this isn't the time or place, but
no,
that
I
would be
appreciate
fantastic.
that. The mandate was actually come back in 30 days with a recommendation for a new board, and it took us 5 months. And so it actually wasn't fast. In all honesty, it was actually quite slow. We took our time to go through and see what was going on. I want to commend economic development on what they did. Going through and seeing what the workers that are still there have been working very hard, diligently to try to get the stuff done. And so that's why I asked the question, because we actually didn't work fast. We actually worked really slow. And then the new board, which Councilor McGrath attended to, was actually the point of appointing a new board within 30 days. And so when we finally came back, we've just appointed a new board as of tonight.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but when did the call go out for members of the public to be part of this board? That was only online for maybe this past month, maybe. So you might have been working behind the scenes, but that wasn't available to the public. And if you're searching for a board from the public and it's not available to the public, as far as I'm concerned, it never existed.
No, I appreciate it. So are you saying that you wanted to have a longer extension for people to apply for the board? What were you looking for?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying the RMWB seems to drag its feet on lots of stuff. And here, I think there was one council meeting in between, and we went from the call out to now there's a new board.
And I appreciate that. And so I'm just trying to get clarity. You were hoping for a more current update of what was going on?
No, I just think it's interesting that this is the thing we can get done quickly. It's kind of odd to me. It's kind of rubbing me kind of funny.
I appreciate that. I don't have clarity. What is it that we are doing quickly?
Until today, who was the board active?
It was council.
When did the call go out to the public for public members of that board?
And can you restate the question? When did we ask the public?
Concept filled. I have no qualms about the board.
Yeah.
I might have some qualms about the board. I don't know. I wasn't here early enough to see who it is. I'm sure members of the public will be fine. That gives me some pause.
No.
Certainly the way we've handled this. Certainly the way the last council meeting went. And then we had a point of order called on me, and I think something got lost in translation there. And so that, I guess I will apologize if somebody thought I was calling them liars. I was called a liar by a member of council in that meeting. I've got no reason to lie here. I just want what's best for the RMWB. I'm not beholden to the RMWB. I pay my taxes. I vote. What possible reason would I have to lie here?
Yeah, and on behalf of council, I'd like to apologize. You should not be called a liar in the council room. I would like to clarify, and I guess just ask a question of administration. When we put a board meeting, a call out to board for application for board members until a closing, what is the timeline that is usually stated for that? So for all regular boards, when we do a call out and do an application process, how long does that usually last on general?
It depends through the chair. Our annual recruitment process, we start in about end of September and we go until November.
Sure, so it's usually a
However, I would say it's usually 3 weeks-ish so
Yeah.
that we can gauge interest from the public before we close and bring forward the applications to council for mid-year recruitment.
So application process is 3 weeks, and then it takes time to vet and go through. So to your point, and I think this is good clarity again for the public, that is the normal process, about 3 to 4 weeks for that process.
Okay, so, okay, I'll just leave it at that. I'm not, I think we're haggling semantics here. Something doesn't seem right there to me. And I mean, we're talking about economic development. We're 50 million in the hole. We've got what clearly is a situation where a forensic audit has to happen. Like
Agreed.
It absolutely has to happen.
Agreed.
That's a no-brainer. And in trust, a board that we've given, I don't know, 3-4 weeks to vet something that just was put out. I just, something's rubbing me kind of not right there.
Okay, that's fair.
And I guess we'll see if my gut feeling is correct 6, 8, 10 months down the line.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Weigel. And thanks, Michael, for presenting and showing up, and thanks for coming to the meetings and paying attention. And I do appreciate you making the clarity that you weren't calling any council liar, because I think that's what was lost in translation somewhere there. But thanks, Michael.
You bet.
Do you have any further questions from council for Councillor Bussier? Any comments? Yep. You can give us comments, whatever you want now. Councillor Benjoko?
Councillor Bussier. Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I just, do we need to know today, or do you have an idea how we'll be able to have an oversight on the forensic audit?
Time-wise. Sorry, Mayor Bowman through Councillor Joko. Time-wise, I think it's going to rely on our CAO to make some phone calls to hire a company. As per the motion, it's supposed to come back to council, but I've left it in our hands of our CAO to immediately conduct a forensic audit or hire the company that was going to do it. Cost, I'm not sure. I mean, I've done my own research, and some say 8,000, some say 10. I mean, maybe our CFO has a better idea. I've never been involved in forensic audit, so.
Okay, and that takes me to the second question, which is, do we have a projection of the cost so that we are not spending another round of thousands to secure? Go ahead.
Through the chair to Councillor Benjoko, forensic audits can be very costly. They can range up into the millions. However, as Councillor Bussier pointed out, they can also be lesser amounts. It's going to depend on the scope of the audit. So one of the things council might want to consider is whether one of our external providers that we already have retained could work with the CAO, the CFO, possibly a couple of councillors, to develop a terms of reference and a scope that then could come back to council, and budget could be allocated based on that. It's important to be aware of our trade obligations. So in this instance, we're probably looking at going to market as well to find the contractor who's actually going to engage in the audit. But in that way, council will be able to ensure that the scope of the audit is what you actually want the audit to be looking at.
Thank you. I think that answers my questions, and I hope you are aligned with that kind of plan.
I'm fine with that. I trust our administration to move forward with this. I mean, it's their recommendation as well to do an audit. So I'm assuming Lori and Henry know what's required. And
certainly,
I thought you said you were done.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Bowman. I just wanted to say that certainly I support that we carry out the forensic audit, but also to manage what the process will look like, so that we know what the cost will be. And it won't be we're spending $1 million to chase $1 million or something like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Joko. Councilor Grandison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair, are designed really to accomplish things. One, to look for fault or blame, and the other is to establish policy, procedures, and fiscal responsibility. ECDEV is, what, 5 years old? What are the terms of reference for forensic audit? It's a big statement. Are we forensic auditing 5 years? Are we forensic auditing certain portions? Are we forensic auditing 1 year? Like, what exactly are we doing? The forensic audit I went through had 3 professional auditors go through every single aspect of life. If we were to do that for 5 years,
to the motion, would it be possible for maybe for us to take administration to take this away, look at what the scope of the forensic audit would be and what we'd be looking for outcomes, and bring that back to council before we move forward with this? I think, and then move forward as quickly as possible. If we can get the scope, develop the scope so that it's pretty targeted, then maybe we can get this done quickly. Possible, bearing in mind that we do have a new board coming on board, and they'll be looking at during that time to appoint a CEO for the corporation. So that's just my comments at the moment. Thanks.
Yeah, through the chair, I don't know if Councillor was asking me or CAO, but okay, it's right here. The administration is recommending a forensic audit, so I'm assuming Lori and Henry have some idea of what the audit's going to consist of. I would hope they do. I'm sure they do. There's rumors running rampant around town that there's missing assets, there's financial impropriety, there's misconduct. So I don't know. I mean, I didn't sit on the board. I mean, Councillor Wago did, and Councillor McGrath, and so I'm assuming they have a bit more insight into this than I do. I'm just bringing it forward because Councillor McGrath had mentioned it. Our CFO had agreed with it when Councillor McGrath had mentioned about a home run, and it's in our internal audit. So I just think it's the best thing to do. So that's why I'm bringing it forward, Councillor Grandison.
Thank you, Councillor Boussier.
I have no problem with forensic audit whatsoever, and I just want to be clear about that. And I appreciate the answer, CEO. Like, it'll come back to council. I was concerned with throwing out, let's do a forensic audit. What does that mean? I just wanted more clarity, but you'll be bringing up back to council, so we'll have an opportunity to review it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Grant. Councillor Bogar.
Thank you very much, sir, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate and I always idealize Councillor Lance Bouzier, but I do not agree with this thing that he says that I trust everyone. Then there's no need of audit boards. If everybody is honest, there is no one dishonest. But the idea is to make some procedures.
Upheld.
Regulations.
Okay, Councillor Dogar, stick to the motion at hand.
The motion, I'm talking about the motion. Now, when he said that there's, I trust it, but I feel trust is there. But, we should put it in such a way that there are checks and balances on each other. And there was a motion that he himself, Lance Bouzier, and Ken Ball forwarded about a few weeks back. That is the proper way. where the things are separated from each other. Thank you very much.
Councilor McGrath? I think you're on mute, Councilor McGrath.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, Mr. Mayor. I say it's almost like AI intelligence. I think that what's been submitted this evening would be that there was a lengthy internal audit that showed some concerns, and administration brought it forward. I support Lance in bringing it forward, and it's kind of so common to hear we're just going to throw stuff out there and see where it sticks. I think the groundwork is done, and if I was to say today, what would be the key area? Procurement locally, goods for dollars, and policy. And I guess the workers are as good as they're led, and to keep the heartbeat in any organization, the humanity that we need to show these people. And it's been a long run, but I think that I agree with Councillor Lance. If the administration, brought it forward, they would have an idea. And I guess putting it in time, these are the key areas. And I think that it won't be years, and we're not throwing stuff out there to see where it sticks. It's about learning and turning this ACTEV. This is our piece, our showpiece. And I think that a lot of people done a lot of work, and this is not going to be a lot of work. But people are human, and we can't go back and fix. But what we can do is go ahead, start to discover our own policies, especially around procurement. And I think we're on the right track. So it's not, so common to hear we're just going to tear up tracks and we're going to do this and that. It's a showboat. But what's not showboating? The internal audit is done. It showed red flags. I think that the community is very deserving of transparency. And we're supposed to be clean flowing for the last 24 months. So hopefully it'll be learning for all of us as we go ahead and retire. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McGrath. Councilor Cardinal?
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Lance, for bringing the motion forward. When I wanted to have ACTEV be a cornerstone for some of the Indigenous initiatives that we're trying to accomplish in our communities, I made a valiant effort to make sure that I did the work to put the people in place. We've worked to make credible choices as a council to appoint the new board that we're going to let the public know about tonight. And hold on, let me find my notes here. I know that Lance, a lot of the stuff that administration, when you went like this and you brought paperwork like this, we haven't agreed on everything that administration has brought forward all the time, right? So I just wanted to make that clear for the public, because administration is not always right when it comes to making suggestions to council, and they have their own opinions, and we're obligated to obviously make ours. We have made valiant efforts to appoint a new board. We're hiring a new CEO. Administration has always what's that?
That's upheld. We're discussing the motion related to the audit, Councilor Cardinal.
I know we're debating. You said it was debate.
But it's on the motion to do a forensic audit.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so the reasons why I won't be supporting the motion, is because of the valiant efforts that we put in place to make sure that ECDEV moves forward. It is time to move forward. We know that ECDEV was not managed well in the past, but we have a new board now, and it will set the direction as we appoint a new leader for ECDEV. I just feel that we haven't even given the opportunity to our local community members that are going to be sitting in these positions, or the new CEO, to take the initiative to even have a look at anything that was brought forward today, or what has been shared with our administration and our CFO. I just feel that I want to make a decision tonight if I see the numbers. I want to see the numbers in order for me to make the decision on a forensic audit. I haven't seen the specific numbers as a city councillor in the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo to make a decision like this, to have a forensic audit on an organization that hasn't even the opportunity to even show themselves about the path that they're trying to create, not only for the local economy, but especially for the motion that we just brought forward. I feel that it's important that we give them a chance to prove themselves before we even start smashing what it is we're doing. I feel that the objective is near, and I feel that they need to be given the opportunity to move forward. I think it's important that we have faith in what it is we're set out to do, and that's have faith in our community. That's to have faith in what it is we're trying to do as a municipality, and not only as a municipality, as a city council, and to have faith in the community people that are going to be sitting on this board and find a path forward together. I feel it's important that we at least give them the chance, instead of trying to have a forensic audit and say, well, you know, there's something wrong. There's something wrong everywhere, but keep on going back. What do we want to do? Jail people? Do you want to hold each other accountable? That's, of course we do, but we're going backwards. I just feel that we need to move forward, create a future for economic development. It wasn't managed well in the past, and we're going to do our job to make sure that it's managed properly for the future.
Okay.
I think that,
thanks, Councillor Cardinal. I think you've gone over your points. Do you have any new points?
Okay, that's my point.
Thank you.
The point is, I made my point.
Thank you.
But I will not be supporting an emotion. Lance, I really appreciate it.
You.
But thank you.
Councillor Weigel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do want to make one point. It's been said twice by two different people. We did not appoint, and there is not a new CAO of economic development. We have only appointed. The internal runnings of the department is still the same, and the CAO is still the same, who is running right now. I'm not a big fan of looking in the past and seeing where the problems. I am a big fan of seeing where the problems are, but not looking in the past. I think that we moved a lot of the problems out of there. What I do, and I will be supporting the motion, because I do think it lacked policy, and I think that we need to see where we missed the mark to create the policy so this doesn't happen again, and for that I will be supporting the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Weigel. And I can agree with that. And I think that's the intent of this forensic audit, is to look at mistakes that were made and how it was managed. And hopefully the new board moving forward will be educated to not repeat those mistakes. And again, the CEO has been there now, I think has been doing a great job with what they've been left with. So I'll be supporting this as well. As with that, I'll call for a vote. Councillor Dogar? Do you want to say anything? No? Okay. Councillor Walker in favor, Councillor McGrath in favor, Councillor Dogar in favor? And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. With that, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. If I have a holiday, if I don't see you, be safe and enjoy time with your family. See you all in the new year. That meeting's adjourned.
Merry Christmas.